Yo guys, here we are again with another updated car setup since patch 1.06, and this time we're at Imola. And this car setup has seen some pretty dramatic changes since our original setup, and it took a little bit of time just to make this feel spot on since the new patch. So jumping straight in, the aero itself I've lowered front and rear. This has been a theme across all the setups I've created so far, just to try and bring the car further in line with the crazy AI straight line speed. I've gone 16 on your front wing, 22 on the rear, so we've still got a rear focus setup, but the gap between front and rear has been reduced since our original setup, just to help reduce the understeer that the new handling model was kind of brought in. For the transmission, I've increased the on-throttle diff pretty dramatically, up to 75%. Again, traction's easier to find, and Imola does really benefit from a relatively higher on-throttle diff setup. Now I've lowered the off-throttle diff right down to 50, just to help with initial turn-in at sort of some of the slower corners, just to reduce some of that understeer that washes the car out wide at slower speeds. For the suspension geometry, the main thing I've adjusted is the rear of the car. I've kept the front camber at minus 2.7. I've adjusted the rear camber to minus 1.5 to give a little bit more rear stability and mechanical grip. Left the front toe at 0.08, and I've reduced the rear toe as well a little bit to 0.29, just to reduce some of the drag in straight lines. I've softened up the suspension a little bit. I've reduced the front suspension to 6 and reduced the front anti-roll bar to 7, and then I've stiffened the rear a touch. I've stiffened the rear suspension up to 2 and stiffened the rear anti-roll bar also up to 2. If you stiffen the rear too much more, you will get a bit more initial turn in, but the car will feel quite loose, especially in some of the medium to higher speed corners. And I've increased the ride height at the front up to 4 to give a little bit more sort of leeway over bumps and curbs, and kept the rear ride height also at 4. Brakes are the usual setup of 100% pressure and 50% bias, and then the tyres have been reduced a lot in terms of their tyre pressures. The fronts down to 23.0 on both fronts, and the rears I've actually kept at 21.3 from our original setup. I did test it throughout a full practice session and a full race, and it actually worked quite well. There was no overheating of the rear, so I was able to keep that at 21.3. And that'll do it for our updated Imola setup. Let me know in the comments below if this is working for you. It's a little bit more low downforce focused, so the car itself won't feel quite as planted through the corners as a setup before the patch, but that's required really to stay competitive down that really long pit straight. But if you do like this setup, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel, because I'll be releasing these setup videos every single day. So subscribing and hitting that alert bell will notify you every time I drop a new setup or an updated setup. But for now guys, I'll see you on track.